We're here at Barston Lakes near Birmingham for a brand new competition, the European Feeder Cup. Now, it's been 20 years since the last international match fishing event was held in the UK, and this new event sees 10 teams of 6 anglers competing from 8 different countries. Now, this event was the brainchild of Lee Kerry and his team, and the reason it came about was because fishing to international feeder rules, there is really only the Feeder World Championships where we use these tactics, these rules. So Lee and his team decided that they wanted another event, one that they could experience and practice more. On the continent, these teams regularly fish to these rules. So to quote Lee Kerry himself, practice makes perfect, and this event was formulated. So the 8 different countries competing in this year's event are the Czech Republic, Belgium, Hungary, Austria, Lithuania, Ireland, Germany, and then you have 3 teams representing England. 2 Drennan Team England teams and an England Masters team. The event is held over 5 days, with 2 days practice and then 3 match days. At 8 AM, the anglers are allowed into their match box, their peg for the day. Then at 8:30, the bait check is carried out. Now, this bait check is very important. It means that all the anglers are starting with a level playing field, so they have the same opportunity to start with the same amount of bait as every other angler. Then at 9:50, the bait up period starts. This is where the anglers can start introducing bait into their peg only through a feeder, no hook lengths allowed, in preparation for the start of the match, which is at 10 AM. Fishing duration is 5 hours, 10 AM till 3 PM. As you'd expect, this event is fished to international feeder fishing rules, so everything has to be free running, natural baits only, so no pellets of any kind. All bait introduced has to be through a feeder, so no feeding by hand or by catapult. And all hook lengths must be a minimum length of 50 centimetres. As with all international events, tactics are crucial, and none more so than here at Barston Lakes. This venue holds a large head of silverfish. There's lots of bream, skimmers and roach, and they're spread out throughout the whole lake. There's also large numbers of F1s and carp, and these carp run up to over 20 pounds in weight. The F1 and carp are not as spread out as the silverfish. They tend to hold up in certain areas, and the wind, if it's a warm wind especially, they tend to follow this down to whatever end of the lake the wind is blowing to. So these fish are more of a gamble, unlike the silverfish, which really are in every peg. And just because these F1s and carp are in your peg, it doesn't mean they're a sure thing to catch. The fish here have seen it all before, and they're very tricky, so you still have to fish the right tactics on the right day. Now, unfortunately, and something you just can't plan for, the weather is really going to test these anglers to the limits, as Storm Babette is over the top of us for 3 match days.
Storm Babette has already brought a significant amount of rain and some very strong winds, and will continue to bring some exceptionally wet and unsettled weather as we go.
This is going to make tactics even more important, because with the wind getting up, you're not going to be able to achieve these 60 or 70 metre casts that are required to reach the big carp if you have a headwind or a strong side wind. With the anglers' rigs being free running, it's essential that they concentrate 100% on the bite detection. It's not like fishing with a fixed rig where effectively the fish hook themselves. A free running rig means even that smallest of movements the anglers have to strike at exactly the right time. This means that tip selection is now more important than ever. Here at Barston Lakes you have a big body of water, and we have a southerly wind today, a warm southerly wind, but it's quite strong. The wind's blowing down, it's hitting this bottom bank and then creating an undertow going back up the lake. Now, this undertow is quite strong, so if you fished with too light a tip, your quiver tip would bend around far too much. So it's getting that happy medium between a light tip, you can see the bites, but not too light, so the tip is bent round too much, not detecting the shyest of bites. Now, one of the best things about these international events is the fact that they promote spectators. They want spectators here. All the pegs are roped off, so of course you're still thinking about the angler and you're not impeding on their space. But walking around the lake today, we've bumped into nobody other than 5 times world champion, Mr. Alan Scotthorne himself. Now, Alan, nice to see you at this event. What do you think to it?
Oh, I mean, what can you say? If you want to learn something about feeder fishing, this is the place to be. I mean, I've done quite a bit of feedering over years, and I've started getting involved a little bit. I mean, I actually qualified here for the Feeder Masters, which were at Tamar Lake. So I've come down today. All right, my son's fishing, Oliver. He's drawn next to a very, very good angler as well. He's drawn next to Lee Kerry. So it's the perfect opportunity to watch how they go through the process of feeder fishing and how they're actually feeding. You literally can stand 5 metres away and watch these anglers fish. What a better opportunity is there to learn a little bit about feeder fishing?
Obviously, you know most things about feeder fishing as it stands, but we're just watching around. You've got 10 teams here from 8 different countries. Everyone's doing it a slightly bit different. Is there anything that stands out that you think, wow, they're doing it right?
What stands out to me is, I mean, yesterday the main England team, the top England team, won the event yesterday. And when you stand and watch them, for me, they seem head and shoulders above everybody else, just in where they handle their equipment, the relaxedness of the angler. I mean, I've been watching Lee for a while. I mean, he had 100 kilo yesterday.
Staggering weight.
I mean, can you imagine coming to watch somebody catch 100 kilo of carp on a feeder? And it's not a method feeder. They're fishing traditional type feeders. So they've worked out exactly how to feed these fish. And yesterday they did awesome. The second team, the team of younger lads that's on the outside of the team, that's, I mean, Oliver, Tom Norton, Sam Collett, Mac, brilliant anglers, but they're here to learn, and what an opportunity to learn. They did brilliant yesterday. They also came second as well. So the top 2 teams, the top 2 England teams were first and second. Fantastic.
It is. Right, well, what we're going to do, I see that Oliver's actually playing another carp now, so we'll let you get off and go and watch Oliver.
Thank you very much, yes.
As always, we're trying to keep the noise down to a minimum because the anglers, they're just behind us here. Now, with all international rules, there are strict bait limits. And of these bait limits, the main baits that we've seen in use over the last 3 days are sweet corn, maggots, bloodworm, joker, pinkies and worms. Now, on top of this, the England feeder team have brought hemp seed along with them. And given how many carp and F1s there are in this lake, they're hoping this might just give them an edge. Once the actual match starts, it's very difficult to see what the anglers are putting through their feeders. Now, this is because all the match anglers are keeping everything secretive. They'll have their bait brollies up, they'll have their lids on their side trays down. Of course, this is a competition, so any edge that they get, they don't want to be sharing. Every team has bank runners, and the bank runners are watching everybody. The information that they then find out, they relay this to their manager, and the manager then makes the tactical decisions. So everything is kept under wraps because the smallest of changes can make all the difference. Maybe you're putting maggots through the feeder and then you change to sweet corn and it brings in the bigger fish. If it's working, these are the changes that you don't want other teams to know. In these international events, it's always amazing to see just how these anglers cater for every eventuality. You'll see the majority of anglers have at least 4 rods set up, if not 5, if not 6. This is to cater for conditions changing, wanting to chuck that great big cast to 70, 80 metres where the big carp live, the skimmers on that inside line, that 12 to 15, 20 metre line, or using a much softer rod. So should the bream turn up and you want the more forgiving rod so you don't get the hook pulls at distance, these anglers really do cater for every eventuality. So we just grabbed Dean Barlow for a second. Now I know Dean's really busy, walking around speaking with all the anglers, obviously being the manager, he's making these technical decisions. So Dean, it looks like it's a really popular event, lots of spectators and everybody's catching fish.
Yeah, the venue is absolutely brilliant. I mean, we all know what Barston offers, which is really good fishing. And that's why we chose this venue. And even though the weather is absolutely poor, it's so cold, the rain's really coming in now, but it always holds up and there's always a few fish to be caught.
So how did this event come about? I mean, I know we've got the Feeder World Championships last year over in Serbia, brilliant event, and then this one's just popped up.
Yeah, what it is, Steve, is that the Drennan England feeder team, we only fish to international rules once a year. That's when we pack our bags, go wherever in the world, and we fish with minimum size hook lengths, 50 centimetres, running rigs, baits that don't include pellets, boilies, it's everything that we don't do week in, week out. And the problem with that is that every country we fish against, they fish like that every week. It's like those guys coming over to Barston on a normal open match where it's all method feeder fishing, pinging pellets, slapping a pole rig. So that's the kind of situation that we're in. So Lee Kerry came up with this idea. We all spoke about it, and Lee Kerry came up with this idea that why not have another event on the calendar? It's only going to benefit us as a team and the feeder fishing in general.
So for this competition, Dean, I see that we've got 2 England feeder teams entered, an aqua and a blue team. How did that come about?
The England aqua team is the England feeder team, and I wanted to create another team that will help develop the future stars.
Of course, that makes perfect sense, and I see it's quite a young team, so you had that in mind.
Well, definitely. I mean, I've got quite a young team as it is, but there's no harm in having some young guns lighting a fire up the behinds of the team that's already in.
Especially how good they are, I know exactly what you say.
Yeah, the guys, and you know, nothing lasts forever, Steve. Sometimes all great teams have another team that's wanting to be in the position of the top team, so that's what we're trying to create, and hopefully they'll spur the other team on a bit more.
Absolute brilliant. Well, I know you're really busy, Dean, so we'll let you go off, but thanks for that.
Cheers, Steve. Thank you.
We've just taken this opportunity to shelter from the weather because the rain is torrential at the moment. Now, this is the perfect opportunity just to run you through some of the feeders that the anglers have been using over the last 3 days of this European Feeder Cup. Now, with Barston Lakes only being shallow, probably 4 to 5 foot on average, the majority of the anglers have been using a cage-style feeder. Now, the 2 main differences when we're talking about cage feeders is you either have a front-loaded feeder or a base-loaded feeder. Now, the front-loaded feeder, something like this, basically is for distance fishing. So this means it casts so much straighter, it's accurate. When you're fishing distances 40 metres plus, you'll see the majority of anglers using something very similar to this. Now, on a much shorter line, you'll see the anglers using something similar to this. This, again, cage feeder, weight on the bottom, not at the base of the feeder, and this is for a much shorter chook, anywhere from, they've been fishing 14 to 25 metres with this sort of feeder. Now, loading a cage-style feeder is very easy. You just select the bait, the particle bait that you're going to feed, whether that be sweet corn, maggots, whatever you're going to choose to be putting inside the feeder. Scoop a tiny bit in and then just plug either end with a bit of ground bait. This just ensures that the particles are held in place with the ground bait, and with Barston being quite shallow, you haven't got to really worry about the ground bait getting to the bottom and the particles coming out on the way down. The next style of feeder that you'll see being used here is a window feeder. Now, a window feeder, basically, as it sounds, it just has a window cut out. This is a very aerodynamic feeder, weighted at the base, so it means it casts very straight, very true, and you can achieve distances quite easy, 70, 80 metres with this feeder. Again, very simple to load, similar to the cage feeder. Select your particles you're going to feed, scoop the feeder in from the side, and then you just put the tiniest bit of ground bait, just a lip, just to hold that in place. The reason that anglers choose this style of feeder is because they want the bait to be delivered to the bottom. Unlike a cage feeder, as it's dropping through the water, through the layers, pieces will be coming off, forming sort of a cloud, a trail down to the bottom. When you're fishing with a window feeder, the idea behind it, it goes straight down to the bottom, lays on the bottom a while, and then slowly breaks up. As you retrieve the feeder, whatever's left in it comes out on the retrieve. The last feeder to look at is the maggot feeder. So you just pop the lid off, pull your maggots in, put the lid back on, cast it out. As this falls through the water, an odd maggot will come out on the way down, but the majority, once it's on the bottom, over time, the maggots will crawl out, creating a bed on the floor, pulling other fish in. Now, of course, there are multiple types of feeder on the market. I've just chosen a very small selection here of the feeders that I've actually witnessed walking around Barston over the last 3 days. Now, the rules state in this competition that everything has to be free running. So you'll see anglers using something like this, a snap swivel or a feeder link. Basically, this is a quick attachment to swap feeders should conditions change. So if the wind drops, quickly snap it off, put a smaller feeder on, as simple as that. So the competition has just finished, and it's a great opportunity just to take Lee Kerry to one side and ask him why he chose Barston Lakes as the venue for this competition. So Lee, why here at Barston Lakes?
Barston's probably one of the UK's best venues, Steve. It's got all the facilities that we need. Access for half the pegs is, you know, drop your gear off behind your peg, easy walking on the other side. Fabulous clubhouse, but most of all, and most importantly for me, it was about making sure everybody who came on this trip got some bites and had some exciting fishing, and that's what they've had. You know, yesterday I'm looking at 20-30 kilo weights, and I've done a lot of international fishing, and you don't catch that very often. So I'm really pleased for the guys that they've been able to come over here and catch fish in what, quite frankly, has been one of the worst weeks of weather I can remember. We've had frosts, we've had easterly winds, we've had a gale, a monsoon. Literally, that's why Barston, because it can take all of that and produce what it's produced for this match.
You've only got to look at most of the anglers and they're all smiling, so obviously they've plenty of bites. Where do we go from now? Next year, what's the plans?
Yeah, well, Belgium have kindly offered to host next year's championship. Which is good because the Irish were also offering, so you know it's fantastic to see that other countries want to do it. I look forward to taking a step back and competing, which is obviously what we want it to be. So you know, 10 countries this year. I'll have a lot of money says it's more next year. So you know, I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Brilliant job. Well, thanks for that, Lee. We'll let you get packed up because I know the match has just finished, but nice one, mate.
Cheers, Steve.
As the scales went around the venue, weighing in all of the anglers, it was clear that Barston Lakes had yet again produced some huge weights. Even the heavy rain today that had coloured up the lake hadn't put the fish off. With the Drennan England Aqua team winning the first 2 days, it was the Czech Republic that had won the third and final day. The talk on the bank was, would today's result make a difference to the overall standings? So the event's just finished, and with spectators being really welcome, look who we've just bumped into. None other than former world champion Tommy Pickering. Lovely to see you here, Tom.
Oh, pleasure, mate.
What do you think about the venue?
Well, the venue's fantastic, isn't it? We all know about the venue, but the competition is even better. Any type of international event is fantastic because we don't see enough over here, things like this, and we only see it when we go to the continent. It gives people a chance to have a look at the different styles, the different anglers and everything like that. And the fact we've got continental anglers come over here. But for me personally, I'm here to support the Masters team, and because they need some more international experience, and it's been a great week for them because they've learned and it can take them to the next level, and that's what we're trying to do. I mean, you know, the England feeder lads, they've been doing it for years and years now, and you can see the difference. It really is. And what we've got to do with Masters now is get them up to scratch for international fishing, because it is like chalk and cheese. Yeah. No matter what people think, when you put an international match on and you're fishing against continental anglers, it's like chalk and cheese. And the more events we can get them in like this is even better. I've absolutely loved it. I hope it really takes off, and even if we have it in England every year, I think it'll be awesome because it gives us international experience, it gives spectators a chance to see what we're up against when we go abroad, and it is, honestly, it's like chalk and cheese. No, people think, oh, we can chuck a feeder, we can do this, we can. It's not about chucking a feeder, it's about fishing internationally, and I think it's been, honestly, it's been absolutely outstanding. I think, you know, if you followed it on social media, you can see the results, see the thing every day, but just been a bit unlucky today with weather to stop a few people coming down. That's been the unlucky thing, but honestly, what a venue, what an event, and let's hope it continues for the future. Let's really hope it does, because I've loved it, I really have.
And let's just hope the weather improves as well for next year, no matter where
It is England, remember it is England, so
Definitely.
yeah, hopefully it does.
Thanks ever so much, Tommy.
No, my pleasure, thank you.
Cheers. Once the weighing in was completed, the anglers headed into the clubhouse to dry out and for a well-deserved drink and also some hot food. Here, the anglers would discuss amongst themselves the highs and lows from today's match, whilst waiting for the presentation to start to see which teams make it on to that magical podium.
The conditions this week have been everything from ice to floods and wind and rain in between, and the fishing, I hope you all agree, has literally been sensational, with mega catches all through. So thank you for the hospitality for Nigel and Mark and everyone at Barston Lakes.
Right, the only angle on the event to score perfect 3 points. Incredible, 3 section wins over 3 days. Really, really tough given the company that we're in tonight. With 79 kilos, 3 section points, your individual champion, it's Rob Wotton.
So I'm here with the European Feeder Cup individual winner, Rob Wotton. What a weight, what a 3 days. The man's been on fire. Rob, tell us about it. How's it gone?
It's been brilliant. We've practiced really well this week as a team. We've got a really good tactic. Really we're feeding at the venue. We also know the venue quite well. Obviously, a lot of us fish the venue throughout the year, so we've got a little bit of knowledge because of that. But the practice sessions, 6 of us working together, it's been really good. We've also had knowledge from the other team fishing as well. Pull that all together, and that's where your individual successes come from, because without a solid team plan, you're just not going to win anything individually. So although I've been very fortunate, I've had some good pegs, I've fished, I like to think I've fished well, because I think you have to fish well against the standard of angler that we're fishing against this week. It's really down to a team plan and implementing that team plan on the day.
It's very clear, not just from my point of view, but a lot of people say it, the bond that your team, the Aqua team, actually have is phenomenal. I'm not going to ask you to give too many of your top tactics away, but just give us one. What has really helped you these 3 days?
Well, firstly, obviously, we've been together now 10 years probably as a unit, travelling all over the world, so that helps massively. So we know how each individual fishes, and we can take that away in practice sessions. Straight away, we know that if Steve's catching, we sort of know what he's doing to make that happen. Distance has been key today, and throughout the week, fishing the right distance at the right time, and that could be fishing 50 metres early on in the day, and then for me personally, I've been dropping back, catching some smaller fish, and maybe pushing out again for a really good late run on that 30-metre line, that line where a lot of anglers come to Barston, they fire 8mm pellets out throughout the year, and I think a lot of fish will sit at that line or are happy to feed at that line. So a bit of venue knowledge for me has probably seen me through.
Brilliant, wonderful stuff. Well, the last thing to say is, I hope you've got room on the mantelpiece for this amazing trophy.
He's a big old boy, isn't he?
Well done, Rob, really good.
Okay, the top 3, and there's prizes for the first, second and third. Could I ask the third place team to come up and collect their trophies? With 71 section points, 398 kilos, it's Team Hungary. On to our silver medal position, finishing the 3 days of matches with an incredible 63 points, 446 kilos, it's the Czech Republic. And the winners of the first ever European Feeder Cup with an incredible 47 section points, winning 2 of the days, with 625 kilos, it's Drennan England Aqua. Yes, Team England.
So that's it. The first ever European Feeder Cup is over, and I'm with the winning team manager, Dean Barlow. Dean, how's it gone?
Oh, absolutely brilliant, Steve. Couldn't be happier. You know, it's to win a prestigious title like this on home soil is just amazing. To be fair, it really is.
Well, considering the weather has chucked everything at you over these 3 days, to come out on top, the way you've come out on top, I just think is amazing.
Oh, it's been an unbelievable journey, Steve, because the first 2 days we had frost on the car, the temperature went up, and then today we've had rain of biblical proportions. So England has threw at us everything that it could, and we've managed to really pull it out the bag.
So it's been great to see just how many spectators have been at the event.
Oh, unbelievable, Steve. And with the weather being as poor as it has been, we couldn't have asked for more, Steve. The amount of people that's been coming along the bank and watching, which does put extra pressure on all the anglers, even the most experienced here.
Yeah, definitely. And the togetherness you've got in the team, I mean, Rob's already mentioned it. The team really does work together. You've come up with a plan. I'm guessing you all agreed on that plan, and I'm guessing you've had an easy for 3 days.
Nothing is easy, Steve, at this level. So we did work on a plan with the aqua and the blue team. So the plan was formed. And then the thing is with these kind of championships, like today, the lake has changed, and the most experienced team has managed to pull it out the bag.
So, brilliant result. What's next for the Drennan England feeder team?
Well, next year, hopefully, we'll be going to Spain. The decision will be made by FIPSED on the actual venue in November. So we can have a little bit of a rest, enjoy our trophies and all the success that we've got. And then when November comes, we'll find out where we're actually going. And I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Well, it's been really exciting. It's been a pleasure to watch you all. It's clear you're all at the top of your game, and we'll be there over in Spain when it happens.
Oh, we can't wait. We're already speaking about it already. You know, preparation doesn't, just because we're not actually fishing the match, the preparation never stops at this level. And as you've seen on the bank today, there's World Championship anglers, which the championships all deserve the respect that they're given.
Fantastic, mate. Great speaking with you.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
The first ever European Feeder Cup proved a great success. The weather certainly challenged everyone, but the anglers' and spectators' passion and enthusiasm shone through. Let's just hope this is the first of many international events held on British soil.